Good morning. So as usual, I have a lot of slides and not a lot of time. So for my first 5 minutes, I'm going to cover 17 slides, so get ready. First of all, Laura wanted me to draw your attention to a few new data cleaning reports in CDAC, if you haven't heard of them already. One is called Reported Eligible in Evaluation Timelines, but the child is not reported in CDAC. So one of our recommendations to districts would be not to wait until the summer to upload your evaluation timelines. Most of you are in a vendor program that allows for upload more frequently, and we would like to see evaluation timelines perhaps being uploaded monthly in order to help us help you get PSIS as clean as possible. This has a major impact on our ability to properly have students identified as students with disabilities in the assessment file, as well as in the 8166 file, and TCS, and I'm sure a few more that are listed there. Additionally, there is a new report called Student Missing Nexus Information in PSIS. So this is to help you if in the previous year another school district had reported a student as a student with disabilities, you haven't received any of your documents, the student cumulative folders yet, and you're going to go put that child into PSIS, this report will help you know that we think that student is still a student with disabilities, so that you, as you add that child and register that child, you're going to start to see your students popping up on this as, hey, the Department of Education thinks this child is a student with disabilities, perhaps you haven't received records, and obviously there's some different steps we can take and how we can help support you in getting that information. As a reminder about the record transfer policy, you do not need written authorization to transfer records. If parents haven't given you written authorization and you've received a request for records, you must transfer them and notify the parent that that has happened. There are also some new data cleaning reports that have been created. Not going to cover all three. I'm just going to let you know that what we did is we took your previous year's October 1 CDAC data. We've created a report that gives you every student with what their most current annual review date was, when their next annual review is due. It's downloadable into Excel, so you can sort it by building and by due date and hand it out so that people are getting these things completed on time. The same report exists for reevals, or if you prefer a ton of information on a legal-sized document, you can do the number 6, which gives you the annual reviews and the reevals all in one location. In addition, it also has an indicator for whether or not the student needs transition planning to be held in that upcoming PPT, and whether or not the student is about to turn 6 and would need their developmental delay disability type altered or changed through a PPT. As you know from last year, we have some new requirements around obtaining organization codes for all programs. That was a policy recommendation that was implemented last year. It is now statute. One of the things that's really important about that is the majority of those programs in the state, here's our update for September 15, majority are special education programs. There are some rules, and I'm not going to read these next 2 slides to you, but you have the information available. I believe that all of the PowerPoints are available for you to download online. I have some guidance in there about when you report the organization code as Facility Code 1 or Facility Code 2 in PSIS, and also distinguishing between whether or not this is a segregated special ed classroom that you do not need a code for versus a district-wide special education program that does require a code. You can always send me an email, pick a time, and we'll have a conversation and talk it through. If your individual in your district who runs the directory manager is applying for a new code, they're going to send it to me anyway, so we might as well engage in that conversation together to identify which programs do need codes if you feel you still have programs that haven't received individual codes that are district-wide. They needed a reminder for all of you about TCS, the Teacher Course Student Data Collection. Ultimately, what's important for you to understand is that for all of your students with disabilities, including those students who are outplaced, it is the primary responsibility of the LEA to obtain the information about courses and grades. We are hearing a lot of responses back from the data folks in districts who are saying that they don't know what courses students have taken and they don't know what kind of grades the students have earned or what kinds of credits have been issued. All of that information, issuing of credits is the responsibility of the LEA, not the outplacement center. So it's important that you recognize that this responsibility lies on the LEA, and to figure out what kind of course code you want to use for those students. Please know that there are multiple miscellaneous codes for special education that can be used for life skills classes, resource room courses. You can report as simple as pass-fail. And one of the other pieces that's important to know is for your students who are involved in transition programs or vocational service provider programs. I would encourage you to work with the person reporting your data to TCS. There are NCES codes that can be used. There's a new report out at the department about coursework toward work or college credit coursework. And one of the reports will allow for students involved in transition programming receiving credits for that to count as part of the, so it's looking at how many of your kids are taking coursework that's preparing them for college, how many of your students are taking coursework that's preparing them for work, successful work beyond public school. The students involved in transition, there are course codes for your students in transition that will count toward this, and it is one of the indicators that are used in the new accountability system. So we want to make sure that we're properly reporting our students with disabilities and giving them the credit that they deserve. There were a couple of legislative notes that I wanted to mention. The 15133 Alternative Education Act does now require profile and performance reports for all non-traditional settings. It does require us to create reports and publicly, so the profile and performance report is what used to be a strategic school profile, has a new name now. We will be creating them for all programs that have enrollment of 20 students or more. That will include special education programs moving forward and eventually, potentially approved privates. There is legislation 15-5 that required, it was mentioned a minute ago by Gail. We're looking at some of the ways that we can help get that information in to our data systems, perhaps through the DM, so that we can create this as an automated report so that we don't have to create it on the fly every single time, but it will be requiring complete and accurate information on all special ed programs and services offered by the SEA, LEAs, regionals, RESCs, and all other providers. So expect to hear a lot more from our office about this new requirement moving forward, looking for like a short narrative to describe each one of your programs for which there is a code. I also wanted to alert you to the fact that the federal government will be issuing guidance on the calculation of significant disproportionality. It will come out, it is anticipated to come out in October for 60-day comment period. So I want you to be aware that what that means is that the federal government is moving toward a mandatory calculation. We currently have each state has their own calculation for significant disproportionality, where we monitored disproportionality and identification by race, placement by race, and suspension and expulsion by race, and we're looking toward within the next 6 months or so to have a new federally mandated calculation. That will obviously have an impact on the work Connecticut does in the identification of LEAs. So I just wanted to show you a little brief thing about the profile and performance report. It is the new strategic school profile. Stephanie O'Day and John Watson will be running an afternoon session on this because we know that we are going to be producing one of these for special ed. Years ago, those of you who've been doing this for a while with me know that we had a strategic school profile and then we also had a special education profile. We're looking toward creating a special education profile and performance report. I get a lot of calls and requests from each of you at different times of the year when you're looking to do some presentations to your boards of ed. We were looking for information from you on what is the layout and format of the most useful data tables for you that will help you have that information at your fingertips so that you don't have to be creating all of this on the fly. So please, if you haven't signed up for something in the afternoon, we would love your input on the profile and performance report for students with disabilities. We completed our audit. I just wanted to say congratulations to the districts who, in the 14-15 audit, had an excellent job. There was the most districts we've ever audited, and it was a phenomenal year for the audit. And I wanted to remind the districts in Cohort B that you will be receiving a letter from me in February indicating that your audit is coming up. It is the audit of your CDAC data for October 1 of 2015. So the data you're about to report to us, if you're on this list, you'll be receiving a letter in February. I know you're all excited. Okay. So that was all the updates from the data folks. Now we wanted to give you a little more information about what's going on with the State Performance Plan, the SPP, and the Annual Performance Report, the APR.